here we go. All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning once again. This is Friday morning, 11 a.m. It's time for Texas in Color, where we talk about certain topics that's going on. And today's topic is going to be on the school voucher, something that we've been talking about really for the past 3 or 4 weeks, but now it's coming to a head. So we need to let everybody know what's going on in the private sector and the public sector. Joining me today, right now, is George Green. Veronica Brooks will probably sign in a little late. So without further ado, good morning, Mr. Green.
Good morning, Ron, and good morning to all those that are listening out there. And we're off to a bang of a year in 2025. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there is. So we're gonna step right into it and talk about the school vouchers that's going on. That is a very, very hot topic right now because the governor made this a priority right now. It's something that needs to get done. Just to give a little inside track on it, uh, this bill has been introduced in the state legislation SB2 for school vouchers. If you are a public school parent, you should be aware of the proposed amount to be given to private school vouchers as compared to public school. Right now, private vouchers is $10,000. For public school, it's only $6,160. So the proposal is set to spend $1 billion, which will divide by 10,000 vouchers is $100,000 vouchers. There are 5.5 million Texas school children, so the vouchers will be an option only for 1.85 of Texas school children. There are currently what they got here 290,000 private schools. There are currently 290,000 private schools. I said that already. I'm reading them myself. Guess who will probably get those 100,000 vouchers? It's not likely that your kid will get one for the private school. So if they allocate that right there, if you look at it, seriously, if you look at it, it's going to be minute people who will get that $10,000 voucher, not as much as we thought it would be. And you said it, Mr. Green. Wait till everything break down and see where everything is going. So if only 1.85 kids will get that $10,000 voucher, so is that misleading? Saying they want to do school vouchers only for a limited amount of students, or is something going to be built up later on? It's almost like it's a test project to see if this is going to work. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, Ron, I think you've done a good job there of breaking down some of the numbers. Uh, at this point, I think we're still going to have to drill down deeper to see how these voucher funds are going to be allocated. Uh, at at the top uh, of the pendulum, if you would, it sounds good that you've got thousands and thousands, and at one point it was $1 billion that they were wanting to allocate for these private schools, and homeschools are included in that too. So I'm still kind of holding back a little to see how they're going to divide this up. And if you're coming down like the figures you throughout there, run 1.85 kids, that's going to pull back the reins on some people, I do believe. And there's other issues. I know we have to do something with our public school system and for our kids to become more effective. Uh, yeah, we're going to have to wait and see how the Senate and the folks pan out the rest of this
Yeah.
before I really make a commitment there.
Yeah, because it gets deep down that if you are homeschooling, you will get $1,000 a kid for that. So
Hmm.
they do have it broke down for homeschooling. But the huge part of the problem is right here at home is a lack of state funding because of the vouchers agenda at our current state leaders. They are choking local ISDs in order to create a need for a budget and staff cuts in order to create public discontent with public education. So they're really they squeezing the vice on this. It's almost damn if you do and damn if you don't, because the way they were talking in the beginning, like school vouchers going to take over all state of Texas. That's how it's going to be. But financially wise, it's impossible. You know, they can't do that. They're run out of money with the surplus they have before the first 3 months. So what exactly are they trying to aim at us? Now, we could turn around and look at the public sector of it, because the public schools have not gotten any money for at least 2, 3, or maybe 4 years from the state, if I'm right. And they're hollering about our education is important, but you're not funding the public school district like you should have been doing. And we could have hired teachers. They could have got a pay raise. All this could have happened. But now we're at crunch time right now, where this is serious enough for them to fast track. So they want to fast track this vote and get it in. But what's going to happen if they fast track it? Is, let's say it passed. Let's just say it passed. But only 1.85 students will be getting that. Out the $1 billion got set to the side. And we got what, $23 billion surplus we have right there? So if education is their top order, they want to get it taken care of. I think $1 billion is a drop in the bucket for what they have in the surplus, sir. That's just my thinking.
Well, I think your thinking is right. You know, it sounds like a big number, you know, when you first hear it. But when you start looking at, as everyone knows, Texas is a huge state. We've got thousands and thousands of different school districts. And if you start breaking that down like you have done, then it gets to be pretty small. And there's a reason why, in my opinion, I believe some of our elected officials are holding back on this voucher. There's something that is not sitting right with them, and I'm curious to see, you know, what they're thinking. Those that are holding back on the voucher issue, what they're thinking is there's something else there.
Yeah, I agree. I was just reading something. I think it was in New Jersey. They reported the school district is broke, point blank broke. And will that happen here? I would say no, but are we headed in that direction where we're going to leave the public school alone and go straight towards the private sector? See, these are some of the consequences you got to look at what's going to happen down the road. See, right now we're facing it, but have we looked at down the road how this is going to affect not only private schools but public schools? I mean, what's going to happen? We're stepping into something new, and like you said, a lot of people are holding back right now. So you want to know, did they do the long term, or what's going to happen to both sectors, private and public? Or is it something they want to do right away just to prove they could do it? Just
Yeah, I go ahead.
Go ahead.
I wish that everyone has a vested interest in this school voucher and in our schools. I mean, you may not have kids in school, but we all here in the state of Texas have a vested interest in what happens here. I wish that many people would get on the phone or go face to face and talk with their elected officials and dig down and find out some of the questions that you have and that I have, such as what are the long-term impacts that this will have should it pass. But it goes back to us as the public. We really need to get on the phone or some way, form, or fashion contact our elected officials and get some answers to this, because we all have an interest. We all have a vested interest in what happens here.
And you think about phone numbers. I got it posted on Texas in Color. The phone numbers for the legislators to contact. So the phone numbers are there for them to look at and start making some phone calls. Um, I want to say, think about how much expense have increased since 2019. Now consider what ISD and educator are being asked to accept. So I got family that are school teachers, and I asked them, what is the biggest hurdle that you facing? And they said, believe it or not, it's beginning of school, because we have to buy this. We have to buy most of the supplies now. And before, kids were bringing their supplies in with their names on it that was theirs. Now they telling kids don't put your name on it because it's shared with everybody.
Yes.
So the problem is we get to the point now the school teachers are buying supplies that they don't get reimbursed for because they love what they're doing. So we got to look deeper into the school teachers, because I sat down and talked with some and just they just say, Ron, it's just plain hard nowadays because we should be teaching, but we got to worry about if we got this for the kids, if we got that for the kids, all that. Now I do agree with one thing what some of the teachers said, and they said it point blank. There's a lot of fat in there that need to be trimmed. But
Yeah.
nobody brought that up about trimming the fat. Because if you trim some of that fat, so many things could be taken care of. I'm not going to say overnight, but if they start trimming the fat now, getting everything together by next year, it'd be money there for them to do what they need to do with their students instead of coming out their pocket. So,
Yes, and right on. I mean, I'm a lifetime certified teacher, and I've been out of the classroom now for a couple of years, but not much has changed. I talk with teachers every day. I've got teachers listening in to our Texas in Color podcast, and they tell me the day to day reports, the struggles that they have buying supplies for the children. That's one of many. We've been doing that for a long time. Teachers go out of their own pockets and pay for whatever the supplies they need during that school year, and then it's kind of distributed out amongst the kids in the classroom. But back to the point of the teachers pulling out of their own pockets for supplies for the children to have for day to day work. That needs to be corrected. The salary thing, we've been talking about teacher salary for I can't
yeah.
remember how long. But at the top of the pendulum, they're making thousands and thousands and thousands, and the teachers are struggling trying to buy pens and pencils and papers and other consumables that the kids need to do their work. So there's some trimming that needs to be done there, and while you can continue to pour money at these school districts, but until some of that is corrected, the fat that's in the system, we're still going to be running into the same issue.
Yeah. Somebody just on Texas, Judy. Um, it's misleading the $6,160 allocated per student to 2024. The audit has actually spent 16,792 per student from K through 12 the past year. There are so many other factors involved with this spending. I agree, it is. And then she put down the question should be, what are the districts doing with the money that they receive? That is a good question. Um, so who is in charge of that when the money comes down to the district? Is it the superintendent? I would think so. It might be the superintendent. and they should have some type of finance committee to see what they're gonna spend things on. Now, I'm gonna throw it out there. Some of the biggest spending is on the sports. I'm just gonna say it because we know that is. We
Well,
know it is. Friday Night Lights. That's all I need to say. So Friday Night Lights. So we know some of us there, and the other organization they get kibbles and bits. You know, the chess club and other things like that. But when they get that money allocated to them, to the district, how are they look? That was a good question somebody brought up. So how is that money being spent? It's almost like the commissioner. When they get money from the state, it goes down to the commissioner here in your district in Texas, and they turn around and they distribute that money out where they feel best needed. So who's looking at the districts when they get the money and how are they spending it?
well, up to this point, my knowledge, once that money is distributed out to that district, the superintendent has the primary responsibility of allocating those funds, and the everything lies on him or her. And of course, he has a budget person that is in his staff also, but the allocation and the distribution within that district, the responsibility falls upon that superintendent. And there's a huge difference because we got a size difference in the districts. You know, we have some huge school districts, ISDs, and then we have some small ones. And so that's an issue, and I don't know that can be corrected. It's just the nature of the beast. And as far as the sports go, I mean, I come up through the sports arena, and the sports receive a lot of attention. And I've asked those questions, and the response has been, well, that football team, if I use football as an example, it carries a lot of responsibility for the city and the school because of the I guess popularity and the heights of it. So you'll see a lot of funding go to those athletic departments, and those are some of the reasons why that I've been told anyway.
Yeah, because we're looking at things right now, and I don't know. I'm just dumbfounded. When you're talking about some school districts have more money than others, wasn't there something out years ago on how the more, the best, the school district that makes a lot of money, it didn't like Robin, Paul, Payne, and Peter. They was trying to help out the other school district that did not have that financial ability. Was there something out years ago about that?
Well, they have what they call the Robin Hood Act,
That's it.
and the Robin Hood Act, it does some of what you're referring to. These mega school districts that have an abundance of money and funds, that money is reallocated. Part of that money is reallocated to some of the smaller school districts, and that supposedly brings some balance there to help the smaller school districts.
Is that plan done already to get rid of it, or is it still out there?
As far as I know, the Robin Hood Act is still in effect. Yeah, that if that went away today, we would have a huge problem out there. But it is still in effect today, to my knowledge.
Okay. So, getting back to the vouchers and how emergency that they said this is to act on, um, I'm sort of like, why? Why is it such an emergency to act on this right away? I'm sort of, they're moving real fast on this, and the reasons I have no idea. It's just they want to move on it real rapidly. They say it could be a vote as early as next Wednesday on this.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, if this is voted in, and if I'm right, whatever is voted in and the governor signed for it, this would take place September 1st. Is that right?
I think as the timeline goes, and you have to go back and look at what the governor, what his wants or what his likes are as far as the timeline of these vouchers. So uh, it's September. That would be quick in my opinion, but we'd probably be looking at 2026, 2027, somewhere along those lines, in my opinion. Now, the governor, he can push it as fast as he wants, and we'll just have to see what happens. But you still have the Senate, you still have the House to go through. So we'll see if he gets it done that quick. Uh, that would be interesting. And what his emergency is, I think the governor's been wanting this for some time. When I say some time, at least the past legislative session, he wanted it approved, and it didn't happen. So he's pushing again this go round, and we'll see how he goes.
Yeah, but if he does sign it at the end of the 89th legislation deal, if he signs it, then it's either going to take place September 1st or January 1st, one of those two dates. Like I said, it depends on what other means they put in that bill. So let's say it passes. We know, well, there's almost assurance that it's going to pass. So come the next school year, this when all this be implemented. I'm just assuming this. I hate to assume, but that's all I have right now. And let's say this takes place. Um, my question is this: if it's going to be 1.85, is it first come first serve, or is it going to be a lottery, or what? Because if they got that $1 billion going in, and that money is being divided between public and private sectors, that's going to eat away real quick. So I'm trying to figure out how they going to pull these students, the 1.85. Who's going to be mad because their kid wasn't picked?
that that's another hurdle. It's one thing to pass it; it's another to see how it's actually going to be allocated, and it'll be interesting to see how they do that. Um, and that's something that our legislators ought to be up on. That's that vision question that you asked, Ron. You know, down the road, how is this going to be laid out, and who's going to be getting the benefits of it. So a number of different ways they could do it, and a lottery is one way, but they've got some creative thinkers in there, I hope. So we'll see what they get done.
You said that right, creative thinkers, because we're going to need that, because now, let's say it passes, and so many kids get the vouchers, and the ones going to be left out. You're going to start hearing voices for the ones that are left out. So I wonder how they're going to cover themselves on this one right here, because we're starting to see bits and pieces of the plan, but not the full plan, as you talked about weeks ago, and you always bring it up. Let's see what unfolds. And slowly but surely it's starting to unfold. But can I just say something that I'm just assuming, okay? It seemed like they're listening and making it as they go. I mean, that's the whole idea. You have an open forum and you're talking about a new law you want to put in effect, anything like that. You start listening to each other and everything, but you would think they would have a draft already made that they could share with everybody, but we haven't seen that. So, do you think that they really are listening to people and putting things down as they go?
Well, I hope that someone has the plan how this will roll out. Sure, but I think we as the voting public, uh, we should be proactive enough. And as you and I are talking, we should be asking those questions of our legislators. Hey, spell out to me A, B, C, D how this will roll out. And so, um, do they have something in their mind? I hope they do. Uh, but we as taxpayers, we should be up there, banging on the phone, banging on the door, and asking why.
Yeah. So let me say something here. There have been many countries that came in here and watched our education system. They watched it. They turned around, made this a model, went back to their country, enhanced it, and now the country that looked at our education system and did it their way they're doing, they are kicking our butts. You think we could learn from what they did because they learned from us and they refined it and made it better. And here we are still stuck in the same thing that we do all the time. Like, for instance, the state is involved in curriculum of the classes, what to teach and what you cannot teach. It's all mandated in there. That's the public school section. But in the private school, there's no mandate there. So, so it'd be different if we could all do this together. Sit down and talk together across the table so we get something resolved. Like I said, what's those saying? We could agree to disagree, but yet let's put everything on the table. I'm
Well,
just
yeah,
looking at. I'm just looking at what Judy just wrote. It is a lottery. 80% goes to the families who make $105,000 and less or less. So that answered that question. Who the first ones that get it? 20% of the family that make $150,000 or more or less. I'm sorry, or less. Okay, so she's up on that bill. Thank you, Judy.
yes,
Uh,
yes.
but what I was getting back to on how other countries come and they look at our education model and they go back and they refine it and they're kicking our butts and all that. Why we can't do that? Is it so mandated? We got to do as they say and say as they do. How come we can't refine our own education system and make it better?
Well, yes, and we want to thank Judy for her sharing that information, and we hope others are out there are doing the same thing. But we have Texas, particularly, we have so much on their plate. Testing is a big issue for our teachers nowadays, and while they're having to teach the curriculum that they're mandated to teach, then they have the testing that is starting up here pretty rapidly, and so that in itself is a struggle. In addition to the immigration issue now that we have, that's having a big impact on the classrooms, the students, and the teachers themselves. So we've got a number of additional challenges out there that our people have to deal with.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And it's challenges every day thrown at us on this, and we got to be up to date on it. Um, Judy just replied, said that bill is 1,023 pages long. That's a lot of reading. you know, because sometimes, being with that, you get something that's thrown. I say, let's say you got to vote on this today. We made some changes. The changes over 1,000 pages. How can you read all that and then vote on it? That's another thing they do to trick us on. They want us to vote on something we haven't fully read everything yet. So now with this school voucher, since it's going to be a vote assumed next Wednesday, how many changes has been made to that already that we got to read up on? That is the question.
Well, yes, we have few people in our area like a Judy. Judy is a rare breed, so we thank her. And I say that to say this: few people that are like us that are going to go out and read the 1,000+ pages of documents that are out there. That's what and one of the reasons why we vote the people that are in office. That's why we vote them in there. We trust and hope that they can uh, glean through that and break it down to us in a palatable form that the average person can comprehend. And so I keep hitting on us contacting our legislators. That's one of the reasons we should do it, because they should know that document from cover to cover, and then share it with us.
Yeah, you said a point right there. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Sometimes we need a lawyer with us when them bills come out because they're written so it's not in layman term. You got to understand the writing and how they do it because one word could be one thing and we may think it's another. I'm the first one to. I started reading this stuff years ago. Matter of fact, when I was way back in high school, we had to read about bills and stuff. Some of that stuff is and they are lawyers. Most of them in there are lawyers or doctors or something. And when they write it out, it's hard for the average person to understand exactly what they mean because it's not in layman terms. It'd be nice if somebody put out something in layman terms so we understand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, it would be. And again, get in touch with our elected officials and beat on the door and say, "Hey, what is this?" And have them lay it out to us. If they can't do that, then we need to vote somebody else in.
I remember years ago when you went to the representative office and stuff like that. We'd get out there and we want to talk to them. And some will come out and talk to you. Some were running high. Oh no, that's a mob out there. I'm not going out there. Which nowadays the way the climate is, I'll be skeptical myself too, because we got some crazy people out there. I'm just gonna put it out there. But calling them is one thing, and we need to. I talked to somebody the other day and said a politician is a politician, and he looked at me and said, "What do you mean by that?" I said, "When they go in, the people voted them in, and they're ready to go and fix everything that they can, and then they realize there's certain things you got to follow with each party, and you can't go in there thinking you're going to do this, and all of a sudden you become that politician that you said you weren't going to be." And that is hard. The influence is so hard on the politicians new going in because they want to go in there and fix everything. And they found, whoop, hold up, wait a minute. It doesn't happen like this. This is how it happens. And it's some truth to that. I mean, I see it. And coming up point blank, I can name some off right now, but I'm not going to do that because they probably give me one of them phone calls like, Ron, why'd you say that? But we got to look at things like that. When we vote somebody in, whether it's for the state or it's for the United States, I'm going to pick on the state because we got to vote people in there that's going to do something for us, not for them to line their own pockets. Is that making any sense, sir?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, and you're 100% right. When we us go to vote for a person for an office, we should screen them totally. Uh, Therefore, you don't get this Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, just so to speak, person that at the beginning is one way, and then when they get in, they're a totally different way. Uh, you need to know that person in and out so you don't get those kinds of changes. There should not be an aha kind of moment for a person
Mm-hmm.
that you elect to get into those offices. And that's why I stress to people, You study who that person is. You read about that person. Where did they come from? What have they done to make sure that this person, when he or she goes in there, they don't flip them. And so study those people, you know, up and down, and so you don't get that flip flop kind of behavior.
You know, I'm just thinking of something right now. Would you vote for somebody who struggled, that came up and understand the people, or somebody running that had a silver spoon in their mouth? But sometimes that person have a silver spoon in their mouth may understand what's going on, but it's hard to find and to see what exactly the people are all about. Because I'm be honest with you, most people say that person born with a silver spoon. I ain't voting for him because he don't know what's going on. He don't know the struggles. That's just what everybody say. Well, this person right here, he grew up like this. He understand. He climbed that ladder to get up there. He's for us. So how can we get that mindset changed? That maybe that person with the silver spoon in his mouth may not came up the hard way, but he understands.
Well, yeah, and that's it's a individual decision. You know, if you look at that person that has struggled and that has worked hard to get to where he or she is at, and has some experience in the model of what government is all about, that's a totally different animal. That person, they've seen the loops and hoops and steps, how to get from point A to point B on to C and so on. So they have a good understanding of government and how it works and how the pieces of the puzzle all come together. It's a lot of moving parts into these government positions, whether you're at the local level, state level, or the national, federal level. So that person that understands that, now that person would get my vote. The person with the silver spoon in their mouth, uh, depending upon what their background is and where they come from, it's harder to make that check for that person because, as you say, they don't understand that, and the way that silver spoon person actually gets things done may not be the way that we that have struggled uh, can understand that and benefit from it. So it's different from every person that goes in there to vote, but the key is to get them in there to vote. That's the problem that we have.
Now, do you think a prerequisite for them who's run for state office or national office, they all should sit down and watch Schoolhouse Rock, how to become a bill? You remember that came out on Saturday mornings,
Yeah.
and they broke it down that layman term that people understood. I say
Well,
bring it back.
I said any kind of education that a person can get to understand how legislation flows is a huge benefit. It is a huge benefit. The more education that you have along those lines, the better. And so we've got a lot of young um, folks that are coming up now
Yeah.
that are vying for positions. So uh, it would be interesting to see what their background is and has been, because you could jump up there and you can look pretty. We have a lot of talking heads. They sound good. They look good, but deep down they don't know. And so therefore we call them talking heads. So you got to look out for that and see what kind of education background they do have to get to where they're at.
You brought up a point there because when I went and got my Microsoft certifications, They sat up and told me there's a cert. People could pass that test with a cert, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But when they got to get out there in the real world and try to utilize that, they are so confused.
Yeah.
And I get it. They know things on top of their head, but you have to be a people person. You have to understand what's going on. You should have to be able to talk to anybody, not just one specific group. To reach people, you have to talk to people. You know, so
You really do. And you said a magic word, not just one group, but all the groups. You know, it you can speak to a certain segment, but you really, as an elected official, because you're representing, you know, you should be able to talk to and communicate and network with a number of groups and types of people, and that's something that we're lacking in some of those coming up, and the ability and the skill to be able to sell an idea and convince not just one person, not two or three, but a number of different people to sell your idea that they vote for it. That skill working with different people is rare indeed. And we need that, because it's not just you and somebody else you're working with, and having to vote for your constituents. It's a number of people you have to convince.
right. I remember I had somebody on the show a while back, and she hit the nail on the head. She said, "It's not a me thing; it's a we thing." You know, it's not all about me; it's about we, and I agree with that. And so, you know, man. Well, school vouchers coming up. I looked at some of the hearing, because they start televising it, and I'm gonna put that on my comments, or I'm gonna put it on the Facebook page where you could tune in and watch all the sessions that's going on and everything. Except behind closed door committees, they're not airing that, but when they're out in a forum, you can see everything that's going on. And I advise everybody to check that out. And if that thing is going on next Wednesday to vote for the vouchers, guess who's gonna be down there? I'm going down there personally to witness everything to see how it works. And I advise everybody to do the same thing.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
So, well, Mr. Green, we appreciate you coming on this morning. Man, it's and so let's give kudos to the weather. Even though we got hit hard, but now it's gonna be 75 today, 75, 77 tomorrow, and 80 degrees on Sunday. Bright sunshine.
Yes.
So, you know, you can't beat Texas weather. We're the only state to get 44 seasons in 1 week.
That's right.
So, but we appreciate you coming on. Any final words, Mr. Green?
No, I wished everyone well. Enjoy these beautiful days that we have coming up, and do pay attention to what's happening in Austin, and see where this Senate Bill 2 goes. And we have Black History Month coming up here in February. So I wish everyone a happy Black History Month. And I mean everyone.
Yeah.
So thank you again, Ron, for providing the services that you do.
All right, sir. And we appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Record.
All right, everybody. That was Mr. Green. He was on here talking about all this good stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and sign on out with good stuff. There's the school voucher. That's what we're talking about. So got sidetracked towards the end, but that's okay. I think we got the point out that we were talking about. So everybody, y'all have a beautiful weekend. Take care and hug somebody. That's all I can say. Say it's okay. All right, this is Ronald Gordon with Texas in Color. I am out.